Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Hashtag Behind Relationship Goals. I'm Fofo.
And I'm Bonez, and this is Soba.
And with that, this podcast is brought to you by Pedigree.
Yes, Christmas is just around the corner, as you all know. Oh my gosh, Paskong-Pasko na ang feeling. But I'm sure everybody is out there scrambling to get Christmas gifts for the people that they love around them.
Of course, dito sa bahay namin, it's not just people whom we love, but our fur babies as well.
Soba. So we wanted to make sure that her Christmas was going to be extra special. She was going to be extra happy. Kasi iba talaga yung feeling dahil kasama niya kami buong Christmas season.
Tama. And you know what? Pedigree actually is our special gift for Madam Soba Doba today.
Pedigree is the perfect food for Soba because it's delicious and it's packed with a lot of nutrients. And of course, there are 5 signs of good health for your pet. What are they, Fofo?
The first one is healthy skin and a shiny coat. So, Bonizi. Soba, do you have healthy skin and a shiny coat?
Yes!
And the other 4 are strong muscles, strong bones and teeth, a healthy digestive system, and it supports a healthy immune system as well.
Patingin nga ng teeth ni Soba.
So we will talk more about Pedigree a bit later on, but thank you so much for being with us here in the podcast. We move on to the podcast episode now. And the topic for this episode is family planning, and we will start this off with a story. Bonizi, last week, just took her first pregnancy test.
Ever in my life.
Ever. I'm just saying, this is also my very first time experiencing a pregnancy test, or at least witnessing one.
Okay.
Because obviously I didn't experience
so
it.
the story behind that is we were kind of feeling like, I don't know if I'm gonna get my period this month. Let's see. And Fofo surprised me one morning. A package arrived and 5 pregnancy tests arrived with it.
Kasi yun yung minimum order, kaya 5 yung dumating.
Talaga? I thought like, sabi ko, grabe, gusto niya ba talaga na mag-pregnancy test ako?
Okay, so let's backtrack a bit. Why did we have to take the pregnancy test?
Because I wasn't sure if I was pregnant or not.
All right, so what were your thoughts going into this pregnancy test? Did you want to get pregnant?
I didn't want to get pregnant yet because I knew that there were other things that I wanted to do. We had planned not to get pregnant for this year and possibly for next year. So I was thinking, am I pregnant? I mean, I would be okay with it, but it just wasn't in my plan.
Okay, so just to kind of reinforce the story of Bonizi, when it comes to growing our family and having a baby, eventually, right now is not the time, simply because we want to be able to plan. Hence, the topic of this episode is family planning. Because with the work that we have, with the things that we like to do, and all the traveling that we have, I think being able to plan well for a baby will benefit us greatly.
Yes.
Of course, it could happen oh my God, you're pregnant.
Yeah.
But hopefully, with good family planning, we will be able to avoid that. Pero yun nga lang, nagkataon na a week ago, we just needed to find out.
And it was so funny because Fofo was like, Bonez, take the pregnancy test now. And when I read it, it was like, you have to take it first thing in the morning. It was like 5 p.m. He's like,
I was like, just take it. Let's just like have fun with it.
Just take it. And then he asked me to take it the next day and the next day just to be super duper sure.
And dahil sobrang noob kaming dalawa, we didn't even know how to do it. Nagmamarunong kaming dalawa. I was like, no, you dip. So it's a strip that you dip into the pee of Bonizi.
The urine.
The urine of Bonizi. And I was like, no, you put it in this way. And then hindi pala you put it in the other way. Yeah, I didn't know. It was my first time. So if you guys have pregnancy test experiences that are kind of funny, please do share them in the comment section. Because that first experience was comical for us.
Okay, so wait, I think people are gonna say like, so ano nga ba yung result?
Okay, eto na. The result was... Drum roll on Soba. Negative.
So we are not having a baby just yet. But in terms of planning, we have been talking about a fur baby.
So we have been thinking if we were gonna get another Soba Dopa. But you know what? That brings us basically to our first topic of discussion under family planning, which is ano nga bang benchmarks
Okay.
So I think socially, just in general, there are benchmarks usually when to have a kid. So usually, in my family at least, oh, when you get married, have a kid na. Ganun na, diba? And diba, usually parang kahit tayo, diba, on Instagram, they say, oh, get married na, get married. Okay, fine, we got married. And after we got married, all the comments we see now are, oh, have a baby, have a baby.
Yeah.
So,
Parang that's what people expect.
from society's point of view, there are certain benchmarks. Of course, they're just vague and non-specific naman. But there are benchmarks and markers of, oh, okay, when can you have or when should you have a baby?
So for us, ano ba yung benchmark natin?
Yeah, what are the things that we consider? So what are the things that float around your head when you consider if we're gonna finally go for expansion packs in our family?
I feel like this is a game. So are we expanding our game family?
Bibili na ba tayo ng expansion pack?
Okay, so when it comes to our baby expansion pack, I think one of the benchmarks that I have in mind is just being... Am I ready to just dedicate myself to this human being?
Okay, so time available. Time availability.
Yes, but at the back of my head, when I think of time availability, when are we ever going to be super duper available?
That is true. Like, we're not gonna stop working, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, so what are your thoughts on that? Given you know our situation with work, that we just keep on grinding. So, given that benchmark, you're telling me that there might be no time, just based on that benchmark.
Yes. So for me, it would be how long from now? Like, we need to give it a number of years. So is it 1 year from now we're going to have a kid? Because obviously our workflow isn't going to change. It'll change when we have the baby.
Okay.
So we need to be able to say na, okay, 2 years, let's enjoy our marriage, let's enjoy our time together, and then we can start having a baby.
Okay, so bibigyan natin ng timeline. Kumbaga.
Timeline, yes.
Okay, so for me kasi, being the dude in this relationship.
Being the one that doesn't have to carry the baby in the belly.
Exactly. I'm just the Steph Curry. I'm just the shooter. For me, there's no timeline. Like, any time is fine for me.
Yeah, gets ko yun.
Diba? Because let's be honest, I'm the dude, I don't have to carry, so that's on you. So I'm glad that you voiced that out. So what is your timeline right now? Off the top of your head. Of course, this can change, right? What's your timeline?
So I know that in the last podcast episode where we talked about family planning, I was like 2021. But to be honest, parang it feels like a stretch.
Okay,
I
so
feel like
pregnant on?
Feeling ko pregnant end of 2021 or beginning of 2022.
So pinushback mo ng konti.
Yeah.
Okay.
But definitely not like the first half of 2021 at all.
Okay. Aside from time, what are your other benchmarks or markers to consider when family planning?
To be honest, and I'm just telling you this now, I want to be able to be living in a place na mas steady na tayo.
Okay, so what Bonez means by that is we're leasing at the moment and our lease ends on January. We've been talking about moving out of Metro Manila. So you're right, it would be nice to have stability of home.
Yes.
Because that's not something we have. We've gone to Boracay, we went to Baguio on a whim a few days ago. And I imagine there are other places we would like to spontaneously go to. But of course, that changes if we want to have a baby.
Mm-hmm. And the reason why I said stability when it comes to the house, like I want to be living in a place that is our own. And we can make it look like, okay, bahay nila to, they're preparing for a baby. And at least done, we can fix it up any way that we want to.
I have a question then.
Okay.
Since I realized I can't really answer this because a lot of this is dependent on you.
Why?
Being the carrier.
Okay, so yes, I am the carrier, but we're raising a family together.
True. But I think that my thoughts and my efforts are more supportive eh. Like, ikaw kasi yung primary carrier. Kumbaga, sa isang team, yes, we are a team, pero ikaw yung carry. Ako yung support. Like, mismo, ikaw yung literal na carry. Diba?
Yes.
Gets mo yun? So at least that's how I see it.
Okay.
That's why it's important to know, okay, what does the carry want to do? What kind of build is the carry going to be?
Okay.
So that I can adjust the way I support.
Kailangan ba health generation or kailangan
diba?
tank support?
Kailangan mana regeneration build ba ako? Or kailangan CC ba ako? So it depends. You get it now?
We're putting our game terminology in here already, guys.
So this is the first time that we're kind of trying to analogize our setup and how we communicate and relate to one another in terms of family planning. So Bonez, being your support, how will you manage your gold? Money.
Yeah, I was thinking like, where are the minions out there? How will I manage the goal?
No. What's your benchmark or marker when it comes to money? Is that a factor for you?
You know what? We haven't actually talked about saving for our future family. Like, we have savings and we have investments, but these investments and these savings are geared toward us as a couple or us as individuals.
Surprise, surprise. Bonez, you are very, 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 very wrong.
Huh?
I mentioned this maybe once, maybe half a decade ago. Bonez, we have a tuition fund for our first baby.
How?
I save.
Really?
Yeah. I've been putting in a certain amount of money every month into a savings account.
The day you started working?
Yeah, I think the day I started, maybe not the day I started working, but very early on, the first few years of me starting, there is a fund, and I base the calculation of the current tuition fee and then inflation.
So we have a full college fund for our firstborn?
Well, I don't know how much is. Well, it depends on what school that person is going to go to. But if we have a kid, by the time that the kid is ready to go to school, then we will have money for at the very least grade school and high school.
Hindi na mahal yun. Public school is the key.
It depends, diba? Hindi pa natin alam. I'm just saying that there are certain schools which we can pay for because I've already saved up for it. Surprise!
I'm so shocked right now. Okay, so I guess that we have savings for our firstborn. But aside from that, diba? Like, we have to also think of the expenses on top of that. Yes, there's school, but there's also like, it costs money to raise a person.
Yeah, and even just to be pregnant. So one of the things that Bonez and I are considering is those insurance packages that pay for the pregnancy fees.
Mm-hmm.
Parang we're going to look into that. So we don't know the particulars or details of it yet, but that's definitely something that we're considering. So we just want to be able to kind of cover all our bases.
Yeah.
When it comes to finances and family planning. I've had a lot of friends and relatives already na nagkaroon ng spontaneous baby.
Yeah.
And syempre mahirap, kailangan tulungan.
Yeah.
So as much as possible, we would like to be financially independent when raising our family and growing our family. So hopefully family planning will help in that.
So what are the different ways of growing a family? It's not just, having a kid. What are the other ways that you can grow your family?
Yeah, actually, I think this is a common misconception. So when people say growing your family, they think, baby lang.
Yeah, because what if people don't want to have babies?
Yeah, so there are many other ways. One way is by adding another fur baby. If we get Soba Doba, a sister or a brother, then that's growing the family because that's a lot of responsibility added to the family, and that's growing the numbers of the family.
Yeah, you're basically teaching your pup the way of life, disciplining them, making sure that they get all their nutrients and their food and their body. So it's basically like you're raising your own child.
What are the other ways of the family growing? It's not just a pet.
Well, one example would be that, diba, we had our siblings stay with us for a time. So even though it was a short period of time that our siblings lived with us, our family was quite big.
Yeah.
You had your 3 brothers living with us at one time. It was a riot, but it was fun. It was cool. We got to learn a lot of good and bad from each other.
And Sir Lauren and Victor actually lived with us at one point in time as well. So that's another way of growing, bringing in siblings, relatives. To be honest, some people are okay with bringing in friends. I'm okay with that too.
Yeah.
So this is another way of growing your family. And I think that also requires family planning. Whenever you add a new pet, a new person, a new baby, a new relative or friend into your household, I think that always requires family planning. You don't just say yes to that now.
Yeah, because especially if it's a full-grown adult, you all have different ways of doing things. And when you're living under one roof, you have to plan out how all of you are going to co-live in that space.
Yeah, and I guess before we move on to the next topic, just to share a story. It doesn't matter, let's say you have a big house and let's say you have a lot of resources to take care of people. And let's say you bring in 2 of your siblings. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be easy because you need to coexist on so many levels. So you need to be able to share resources kahit madami pa yan.
Yeah.
Share your time, share your space, share your energy. So it really is it's a big ordeal. And hindi dapat minamaliit yung ganyan. And I guess that's also what we're sharing from our own experience, diba? For the young ones out there who are growing into their own lives, working, growing their families as well. From our experience, regardless if it's a baby, a pet, a friend, a sibling, it always requires family planning, and it's always nice to have your own benchmarks and markers to decide if it's a good move or not.
I think one piece of advice that I can give to especially the younger ones, when you're growing up and living in a household with your parents, you start on having more and more responsibilities as you get older. One way is to figure out how you can contribute to your own household, especially if you're starting to earn money, if you're starting to be able to help out the household. How can you give that little piece of contribution na hindi ina-expect pala ng parents mo na maibibigay mo?
And with that, we take a little break just to remind you that this podcast is brought to you by Pedigree. And just so all the fur parents know out there are actually 2 types of dog food. You have the wet food and the dry food.
And of course, we have both of these foods from Pedigree. So we have the Pedigree Mini, which is right here behind Fofo, and Soba was actually on the couch jumping up and down on it because she was so excited.
Yeah, and you know what? Dry food kasi is perfect for small dogs, just like baby Soba Doba.
Because they can be a bit picky or parang fussy with their food.
So small dogs kasi, they also have smaller stomach capacities. So Pedigree Mini is able to deliver higher caloric densities to meet their higher nutritional needs for faster growth rates.
And it also has smaller kibbles. So for the smaller breed dogs, it allows proper chewing and swallowing as well.
Okay, and just to quickly mention, we also have the Pedigree pouches over here. Soba Doba loves these.
Oh, what's her favorite? I thought she likes the chicken and gravy.
That would be her
chicken
favorite.
And liver.
You know what? She actually loves everything, to be honest with you. So these pouches are 100% complete and enriched with essential nutrients to support your dog's health. And wet food actually provides a really enjoyable meal for your fur babies because Pedigree pouch is nutritious, delicious, and it's soft and mushy and juicy, which is exactly what Soba likes.
And it allows it to absorb more water. Plus, diba, the aroma really gets Soba riled up. She's just like jumping up and down, hoping to get another bite.
And now, back to the podcast topic.
So since we're talking about family planning, we just got back from Baguio, which was completely unplanned. And we were able to do that because it was just Fofo and I. And along the way, I was thinking, I wonder how Soba would have fared in this long, bumpy ride.
Yeah, we actually got the answer to that because in Baguio, we were in a coffee shop and we spoke to some dog owners there and we asked if they ever brought them down the mountain to Manila, and they said yes. Unfortunately, they would throw up in the car.
Yeah, naghihilo lang sila kasi.
So I guess it's inevitable. They had like 3 dogs, I think, if I remember correctly. And each of them threw up. But after the first episode, okay na for the rest of the trip. And it happens also to Soba. So I guess they just have to get used to the motion.
Yeah.
So motion sickness is natural. Even naman for people, it's natural. So you just try to make them as comfortable as possible, I imagine.
Yeah, and we make sure that before we leave for a trip, Soba eats earlier on para ma-digest na niya na yung food niya bago kami umalis. And then we feed her once we arrive.
Yeah, and hopefully nakapagbanyo na rin si Soba before leaving.
So all these family planning when it comes to our pet, Soba, is parang just the beginning of us planning for our future, no?
Yeah, I think so.
Kasi iniisip ko pa lang ngayon na how will we travel spontaneously once we start having kids?
You know what? I really, really think about that because for me, it's such it's a love language for us, traveling spontaneously.
Yeah, it is.
So I really think about, I don't want to say we'll stop it completely because why would you completely stop a love language? I think we should always try to adjust. What if there are ways to be able to do it? With Soba, sa totoo lang, medyo nahihirapan kami because Soba needs a lot of care and a lot of attention. So we need to look for ways to be able to adjust our traveling to fit Soba. And I think that would be the same with a baby or with any kind of expansion in our family. We need to look for solutions to that. Have you thought of any solutions for that? Soba is snoring.
She snores like this. Sorry, guys. Solutions for when we travel. Well, one, when we're traveling for a longer period of time, especially if it's a place that's dog friendly, of course, we're going to bring Soba. Like, hindi ko siya pwedeng iwanan, di ba?
Yeah.
Dadalhin ko siya hanggat kaya. But for the times like the lock-in where you had taping in a hotel and we couldn't bring Soba there, parang people were wondering, nasan siya? Like, sino kasama ni Soba? Sino nag-aalaga sa kanya?
Well, lucky for us, we do have Mama Sel and Mama Meng here in the house. And Soba's absolutely in love with them as well.
Yeah.
They are family here in the house. So we're lucky because we get to leave Soba with them. But my dream is eventually that we come up with a system and a comfort level where we can take Soba on spontaneous trips with us.
Yeah, because it gets me excited thinking Soba will have a playmate na anak natin.
Yeah. Kasi para sa akin, I grew up getting this spontaneous traveling habit from my dad. I think I said this in a podcast before where my dad would wake us up early
Yeah.
and say, all 5 of you get into the back seat. Mom gets in the front seat. We're driving up to Baguio. And Baguio was a 5-hour trip then.
Fofo, really?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
exactly you right now.
That was exactly us right now, diba? So, anong tawag dito? I'm inspired by that story and by that own experience with my parents. That it is possible to have a family and still take these adventures. We just have to be able to adjust. Because I'm sure we
There's
weren't the
definitely,
easiest to
you
take
guys
care
were
of.
8. 8 kayong magkakapatid nung time na yon. But just thinking about it now, I feel like it'll be an adjustment period in the beginning, especially when our future baby is still tiny. There's going to be a lot of taking care to do.
Okay, let's think about it. Let's kind of forecast. What problems do you foresee or what pain points will we have to go through if we want to continue spontaneously traveling even if we have a bigger family?
I think packing for the baby is
Oh
one.
my God, yeah.
Because we can travel minimally, but seeing our friends that have newborns or that have kids, they pack a lot of stuff.
Yeah, like what if you forget something crucial like diapers or milk?
I mean, you can buy them obviously in places, but what if, your baby has like rashes or like they have like allergies or like they're allergic to something? Yun yung mahirap.
True. So what else do you think will be pain points? I think taking care of them because we get to enjoy coffee for 3 hours or 4 hours in a day, just minding our own business. But when we have kids or if we bring Soba Doba, we'll have to devote more time and energy to them.
And we have to make sure that we give enough attention to our baby and to Soba as well.
Yeah, this makes me curious. So Bonez and I were just thinking out loud, trying to project and predict what we would be feeling. But for some of you out there, you already do have your families. You've tried traveling. So do share your experiences down below so we can learn a bit.
How is the traveling experience for a young family?
Okay, and with that, why don't we kind of minimize our time frame now? It is the 3rd week of December right now. Where are we going for Christmas, Bonez?
So for Christmas, we are spending it here in Manila. We are staying with your family on the 24th and with my family on the 25th. And we're keeping it very, very minimal. No extra family. It's just us lang talaga.
But after Christmas, we are going to
Subic!
super duper excited. Wala pa kaming place though. We haven't been able to work on that, Bonez.
We semi have a place.
We semi. So we have to make sure we have a place. But aside from that, because Subic is up north, I also plan on, if I get enough requirements, I plan on going to La Union to visit my siblings. Some of them are going to be there. Baby Lucia, my niece, is also going to be there in La Union. So I'm excited to do that. And next month, in January, we're planning and seeing if it's possible to go to El Nido, and it would be really nice if, I don't know, if Soba could come with us, or I don't know. I'm
On
just
a
wishing out
plane?
loud. Yeah.
Oh, parang I feel like if Soba goes on a plane, she'll be scared.
Okay, so Bonizi has this big fear. I already thought about bringing Soba to maybe Boracay or elsewhere in the Philippines, but Bonizi is super duper hesitant of taking a dog on a plane. Now, me, I have no experience doing that. So, if there are people and dog owners out there who have experiences of traveling with their dog, please let us know. What are the requirements? Do dogs enjoy it on the plane? Are they okay?
I mean, when I was in the US and I was traveling from one state to the other. So I was seated on the plane and I was seated beside a support dog. So they were bringing the dog to its new owner and it was just so cool. Super kalmado niya. Pero malaki siyang aso ha. Like parang like golden retriever size.
Gotcha. Oh, whoa. In the plane?
Yeah. But we were like in the front part.
Okay.
Just before business class.
Wow. So how was that experience?
It was pretty cool. I didn't touch the dog because I know that you can't like touch emotional support dogs if you're not like the owner or something. So I just
should not touch dogs who you don't own, who aren't yours.
Who aren't yours. That's
you should
true.
always ask for permission
Always
first.
ask for permission.
Lest you want to get bitten, possibly.
Yeah.
That could happen.
I always ask for permission and I never pet the dog right away. I let them smell me first.
Wag over-friendly. Parang tao lang yan. If you see a person or a stranger, you don't all of a sudden go, hello.
Don't pet me like that.
Okay, so yeah, just saying, do share your stories about flying your dogs because we're curious about that as well. And I don't want to put Soba in a cage. I want Soba to be on my lap. If that's
She'll
possible.
be your emotional support dog.
Yeah. But with that, we go back to our Subic plans because Soba is definitely part of that. And Soba has been to Subic. The last time she was there was for our wedding.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you're right. It's been almost a year since Soba has been to Subic. And when we brought her with us, she was so tiny. And in the house that we stayed in, we didn't want her going around and just like doing her thing wherever. So we left her in the room and we told all our guests that they could go up to the room, visit Soba, and play with her as much as they wanted.
Yeah, so imagine so many different faces and smells coming into the room, visiting Soba and knowing she was a puppy. So they were very gentle. And I think that helped Soba really adjust to different people. So that's why Soba's super duper friendly with different people kasi at an early age pa lang,
she was really exposed to so many people.
exposed to so many people and noises and experiences. So I'm very happy about that. And I'm excited to have her there because I'll be able to walk Soba for the first time.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why we don't walk Soba as much is because we live in the metro. There's a highway right beside us. So Soba's feet will always get dirty. And there was a time where she got bugs on her fur. So we just decided, okay, let's make her a house puppy for the meantime.
Yeah, so for the first year of her living, she has been a house puppy. But when she gets to Subic, I'm going to show her a garden and a park. And she's gonna go crazy. Soba loves open spaces. I mean, even in her hallway pa lang, she likes running around, zooming all over the place. So I'm really excited for her to experience that. And I want her to experience the beach.
She hasn't been swimming in beach waters.
Pool pa lang. Nakita na lang siya ng pool, tumalon na siya agad. Paano pa kaya pag beach yung nakita ni Soba?
I'm so excited because Soba is, well, in my eyes, she's such a good puppy. She doesn't bark. And the reason for that is that her mom wasn't a barking dog. So she kind of got that aspect from her mom. So I love that Soba isn't a loud dog. She's so malambing with anyone that she meets. And she just likes playing around with her ball.
So with that, we have done the family planning topics for this podcast. We've talked about how we're going to celebrate Christmas with Soba. Bonizi, what are your plans after Christmas and into the new year?
Ooh, are we going to talk about New Year's resolutions already?
You can if you want to.
Into the new year. Well, I think dapat ngayon pa lang. I should start working out na. I haven't been working out and taking care of myself for the longest time.
This has been the least active fitness year of Bonizi, I would
Parang
say.
I would say that I work out doing just dance.
Yeah.
And I'll do like very light workouts, but I haven't gone full blast like lifting heavy. I would say that my workout level is at a beginner level again.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's okay.
It is okay.
I
It
haven't.
has been a pandemic, so
Yeah.
there has been a big adjustment with our work, with our fitness schedules. So for me, it's not even a problem. But now that we're going into 2021, we know that this new normal is here to stay.
Yeah.
It's time to adjust and look for a next step of intensity.
And even though I have moments where sunod-sunod yung workout ko, the way that I would eat wasn't as healthy as I wanted it to be. So definitely for the new year, I'll start eating way better and take way better care of my body.
And just a super short preview of things that I envision for this podcast. I envision us to have nicer and more expansive setups because I really, really like what we have right now. I mean, even with having Pedigree on board with us, you have their products over here and behind me over there. I'm thinking that in Subic, we'll be able to maybe shoot a podcast outdoors.
Ooh,
For
that's
me,
so interesting.
For me, I find an outdoor podcast to be so interesting, and I think it'll be a visual treat for all of you there.
But also, I think in the future, I would also like to have a space that we can definitely dress up for the podcast area. A podcast area, a streaming area. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love our setup now for our computers, but I would just like to have something that I can really dress up and make it look aesthetically pleasing and not aesthetic-less.
And with that, we have reached the end of our podcast. But another reminder and a super shout out and thank you to Pedigree for joining us in this episode.
And because we are ending the podcast on a happy and Soba on a hungry note, we're sharing a secret recipe with you guys. So you can mix Pedigree Pouch and Pedigree Mini to make a more flavorful mix for your fur babies this Noche Buena.
And after Soba finishes her meal, her Pedigree pouch meal, we give her dentist sticks, which we have over here.
Uy, nagising na siya, oh.
So these dentist sticks are what we give Soba. She super loves them and they help reduce plaque and tartar build up to keep our fur baby's teeth and gums healthy.
If you saw the last podcast, there was actually a bit of the dentist stick that she was probably munching on throughout the podcast episode.
Yeah, and sakto to for her breed and her size because of the shape of the dentist sticks. It really helps take out the plaque and the tartar in her teeth and her gums, which keeps it healthy.
So if you want to make your doggos happier and healthier this Christmas season, order your Pedigree products now on Shopee, Lazada, and of course, Pandamart. Right, Soba?
So there you go. Before we say bye, just a quick reminder, you can buy the chicken and liver flavor, the chicken flavor in gravy, and beef flavor in gravy. These are the Pedigree mini pouches which you can catch on those online stores that Bonez just mentioned. And with that, thank you so much for joining #Behind Relationship Goals. This is Madam Soba, that is Madam Bonez, and...
You are Sir Fofito.
Okay, bye guys. See ya.
Bye. Soba, sit, shake. Good girl. High five. Good girl. Good girl. Your dentist sticks.